coming to you. Hey, over here. Hey, check it out on my boat, baby. Woo! Get a job, loser! Woo! Ow! Oh, shit! Oh, shit! Oh, shit! Oh, shit! You never give me the way, you stupid mask! Hey, get out of the water! I'm yours, buddy! Get a job, loser! All right, let's play ball! Play ball! Woo! Hey, don't forget to smack that like and subscribe button and drop a comment down below to feed the algorithm and share it with your mom. And our top story here from Fox News, federal judge pauses dismissal of Air Force members who refuse the vaxxx. And from NPR, North Carolina's Green Party says the Democrats are working to fortify the 2022 election by keeping the Green Party off the ballot. And from the Gateway Pundit, DEA seizes a record-breaking $20 million worth of fentanyl in Southern California, coming up there through all these illegal immigrants that Biden has the southern border open to flood the country with so that they can engineer the election outcomes by opening up the borders, because the Democrats don't like the way the white people vote. And from the BBC News, Palestinian people deserve a state of their own, according to Biden. I guess Biden is now giving away parts of other countries to Muslim terrorists there in Palestine who are sending rockets into Israel. Israel is no longer a sovereign state. Now, 40% of Palestine is illegal immigrants from Jordan. So now you have to give away part of Israel to the Jordans. And from Fox News, January 6th, Secret Service deleted text requested by investigators, according to a watchdog report. And from Newsweek, GOP pushes for nationwide abortion bans 3 weeks after calling it a state's issue. I'm not sure exactly who's calling it a state issue. You have a right to your life, and you have a right to peacefully assemble and petition the government, and the state cannot abridge that right. Even when you are a fetus, that is still reducing the times, places, and manners where you can peacefully assemble, because the fetus can assemble nowhere else. And from Hacker News, jury finds former CIA programmer guilty of leaking CIA hacking materials. I was wondering where those hacking materials came from. And from the Daily Mail, British electricity helps keep the lights on in Europe, UK a net exporter for the first time since 2017, thanks to nuclear power. How you like them Chinese solar panels now, huh? And also from Breitbart News, Soros-linked group wins $172 million contract from China Joe Biden to help border crossers avoid deportation. Also from Fox News, InfoWars star Alex Jones' parent company files for bankruptcy amid the egregious Sandy Hook $150 million plus defamation trial in Texas. This one is off the charts corrupt. I mean, if you want to find the most egregious example of Democrat judges politicizing trials so that they could get back at their political enemies and news organizations they don't like, well, look, you need to look into this lawsuit. We're going to check it out here in a little bit. Also from the Daily Mail, number of migrants crossing channel tops 16,000. Another 460 asylum seekers have arrived in the UK yesterday. I guess this is what happens when you elect liberal politicians. They have no spine, and they would rather hobble together a whole bunch of disaffected minority groups and turn them all on the white people rather than govern effectively, because they figured since America was a country of immigrants, well then sure, let's just open the borders and just bring them all in, guys. Who cares about our culture, our language, our history, our tradition? Those guys were racist. Let's bring in a bunch of Muslims and Latinos. They're like tacos. Right. So where are we going for this first one? All right, so I apologize. These stories are a little bit old. I'm having technical problems. I've been actually working nonstop to try to get this together since apparently the 17th. And apparently I've been wearing the same suit the whole time because I liked the thumbnail picture. I didn't want to redo the thumbnail picture. And the tie. There has been so much studio work here that my tie is, it's not usable professionally anymore because it's gotten so dirty from all the studio setup. But we do have a nice show. Should be able to reproduce this every morning. All right. Let's get into this one. And then, what do I got to do? How do I get to the browser? Shoot, that's not the browser I wanted. There it is. Okay, cool. From our next source, Breitbart, Soros-linked group wins $172 million contract from China Joe Biden to help border crossers avoid deportation. This guy's up to no good. He's a billionaire. He claims to have good intentions, but he's part of the World Economic Forum, and he spends billions of dollars in our elections to influence them. It's kind of hard to say that this guy isn't like a supervillain, like from one of those Star Wars movies. So a left-wing group linked to billionaire George Soros, the guy who funds the far-left DAs that don't prosecute the rioters, he won the contract through Vera Institute of Justice with financial ties to Soros. So he doesn't directly have a group where he's it's run by George Soros. He has these puppet organizations and he dumped $50 million into the 2020 election, which was dwarfed by Mark Zuckerberg's $419.5 million donation that was not considered a political action committee donation. So when you look at the amount of money that was spent on the election, Mark Zuckerberg's money is not going to show up. But Soros had put in $50 million of it. And so he got a federal contract for $171.7 million that will provide attorneys to unaccompanied alien children to avoid deportation from the United States. Now, it is my personal opinion, if we were going to keep any of these illegal immigrants, we should especially take the unaccompanied minors. But, are you really an asylum seeker if you're an unaccompanied minor? I don't know. Yeah, probably still an asylum seeker, right? If you're an unaccompanied minor. I'm not going to say that they're not. So the federal contract would end up showering the Vera Institute of Justice with $1 billion in taxpayer funding, Fox News reports. This is where it gets egregious, because this is an emergency situation that we have going on right now. These illegal immigrants on the southern border are overwhelming our healthcare system. They're overwhelming our school systems, our social safety net. And the Democrats are really using our social safety net in order to essentially pay these migrants to move here so that they could control our elections. And that is just nefarious stuff. You should not be in an emergency situation. You got to deport them all. If we can't deal with the influx and give you a fair trial, the only thing that we can do in our legal system is to not give you the trial in the first place, and then just deport you back to your country of origin, and then you can apply for an asylum claim later on. But if you're illegally crossing the border, if you're not at a port of entry, you don't have a valid asylum claim. That's the problem, is this is fraud. This is absolutely in every way, shape, or form designed to defraud the American people, because the Democrats don't like the way that the white people vote. 3 out of 5 white males vote for Republicans. And the Republicans do not vote for these handouts and open borders that the Democrats are using to get the Latinos' children to vote blue no matter who, because that is really the name of the game. Because the second and third and beyond generation immigrants typically vote for Republicans because they're more entrepreneurial. Remember, the American dream is that the immigrant can show up here with nothing and then become a wealthy entrepreneur with a house with a white picket fence and a garage with 2 cars, one for you and one for the missus. Right? That is the American dream. That is the Republican dream. The American dream for the Democrats is to get spun out on drugs, to ride the CC and be a total ratchet slut, do pornography, do a whole bunch of drugs, go out to the bar, get drunk all the time, party with a whole bunch of loser, violent, criminal, gang-banging thugs, and then whenever nobody wants to hire you because you didn't try anywhere near as hard as the Asian kids, then they want to blame white supremacy, right? Essentially, this is the problem that we're seeing right now, is that the Democrats are really just, they turned pretty skeezy. All right, I'm trying to turn down my mic a little bit here. Apparently I was peaking. I was trying to find a good time to turn that down. Apologize for that. So let's read on in the article. So this appears to be the largest federal contract Vera has secured for immigration-related services in any single year dating back to the mid-2000s. The Vera Institute, meanwhile, is propelled by taxpayer-backed government grants and contracts like the ones secured in March between July 2001, 2020, and June 30, 2021, 152 million of the group's 191 million in revenue came from government sources. Its most recent financial audit has shown the institute seeks to end, quote, mass incarceration, end quote, by cutting down on the number of jails, prisons, and detention centers in the United States. The group has also signaled support for defunding the police. Now, back when I was a brainwashed liberal with Trump derangement syndrome, I too fought for the ending of the prison industrial complex. Now, I still am going to have to support ending the war on drugs because you can't really use the interstate commerce clause to justify an in-state ban on marijuana because the marijuana is grown in-state. It is produced and consumed there. And this is not interstate commerce. And the point of the interstate commerce clause in the United States Constitution is absolutely not so that the federal government can ban trade between states. It's so that states can't ban trade with other states. That's the point of regulating this commerce among the states, is so that states can't blockade other states. You can't just say the tax rate is going to be different when you go to this state as opposed to this state, because whenever you have a diversity of citizenship issue, then the federal government then is going to get involved. But if there's no diversity of citizenship issue, then that is intrastate commerce. It does not matter if you are an out-of-state resident or if you are an in-state resident. Those two things are not differentiable under the United States Constitution because you're not allowed to discriminate against out-of-state people, correct? If you live out of state, you have the same rights as the people who live in state, which is to engage in intrastate commerce. You don't only have a right to engage in interstate commerce. You have a right to engage in intrastate commerce because underneath the 9th Amendment, which is an obscure amendment, it says you have all the rights that were given to you before the Constitution was formed, which is your common law rights, essentially. And so these rights, one of them is to engage in intrastate commerce, because you always have had this right ever since the dawn of time. Just because the United States Constitution came about doesn't mean you have less rights. No, it means you have more rights. The rights that were existed before are currently existing. Now you have more rights than you used to. And back then you had the right to grow and sell marijuana. So this whole thing about using the interstate commerce regulation to ban drugs, and also they used it in the 1964 Civil Rights Act to abridge your right to freedom of association by banning people from discriminating on race, ethnicity, national origin, whatever they wanted to, if they're like letting people into a movie theater or renting a hotel room. Hotel rooms and movie theaters, they do not cross state lines, so they are not the same thing. But I do agree that we need to end this mass incarceration, but we need to preserve. If the guys are being criminals and they need to be locked up, then we got to keep the mass incarceration because there's a mass number of criminals that we have to keep locked up. But other than that, I don't really think we're trying to fund a failed program that is devastating. Read on the article, but Breitbart News reported 2018, the Vera Institute of Justice was previously awarded a $310 million contract by the Obama administration to help unaccompanied children avoid deportation. So you do have a right to a public defender. Now, if they have that many illegal immigrants, then why are you only giving legal protection to the children? Like this doesn't pass the equal protection clause of the United States Constitution, because we also need to protect United States citizens. And where are these children? We probably should take all of these children in welcome them with open arms, teach them, give them every opportunity that we have here in America. It's just not legal for us to do that, because whenever you are jamming this many people through the system, you're not giving them a fair trial. If you cannot give them a fair trial, then you need to give them no trial at all, which means, boom, immediate deportation. Sorry, kids, gotta go back home. All right, hey, if you like this content, don't forget to smash the like button. Stick around. The live stream is not over. You can, don't forget to drop a comment down below. Share it with your mom, because you know she loves my show so much. And she will love it when you send her a message. Also, check us out on Rumble and Facebook. I'm on some of the other platforms, but I don't know. I guess I'm an old fuddy-duddy, so I'm still up on Facebook, because I just got too many friends on there, and I feel like all of these platforms are a little bit hard to maintain. So you kind of have to stick with the big tech in some ways. We need self-hosted websites. All right, so let's get through the... Oh, shoot. All right, so look, there's some more stuff here. All right, so this... guess I'm going to have to chop this video back up. I'm not done with this video. It's always a real big major pain in the butt whenever that happens, because I got to edit it. Moving on to the next article from the Western Journal. The Soros link, or the sinister link between Biden admin and a Soros-funded group. This was from June 29th, 2022. Is President Joe Biden's new proposal to push transgender participation in sports for public schools just following marching orders from George Soros' activist empire? Sure, that'll be dismissed as a conspiracy theorizing by the mainstream media. However, parts of the 700-page proposal bear a striking resemblance to a memo prepared for the Department of Education by a group called Governing for Impact, described by Fox News as a secretive liberal nonprofits whose board include a high-level Soros director. Dude, this guy, Soros, has his name all over pretty much any sort of sketchy political thing that you can think of. He has all these different groups that he funds. So you don't know that it's actually George Soros, but there's so many of these small groups that he donates like a substantial amount of money to, that it's like this sea of stuff that you would think that there's popular support for it, but really behind the backs, you just got this cult of these demonic World Economic Forum people who are trying to do a great reset. Maybe they have good intentions. I personally think they're lizard people. I mean, you gotta look. Sorry. I mean, look at this. Look at this George Soros guy. Doesn't this guy kind of look like a lizard person? I mean, look just at the eyes, right? He does. When you look at it, he does look like he could possibly be a lizard person. Like if we pulled off the cover, you would see this serpent head come out with this tongue that's like shh. Because this guy just does not care whether or not transgenderism is going to cause your children to commit suicide. He really doesn't. All this guy wants is a leftist world where the white people have been removed from control, where white people, or where racist people, transphobic, homophobic people, Christians, they don't have any sort of legal protections. In fact, the laws are all designed to target them. You know, it's like the 14th Amendment is supposed to be equal protection. Like, that's the whole point of the 14th Amendment, is that the laws don't just target someone because of some arbitrary characteristic like race, gender, ethnicity, country of origin, or, in my opinion, whether or not you smoke marijuana. And in fact, if you have any marijuana, maybe you need to smoke that and get rid of it right now, just in case. You know, you never know if it's not going to be there later, so you might need to smoke that now. And what about marijuana? I just completely spaced out when I was saying something about how we should be smoking marijuana right now. Okay, back to the lizard people. So this lizard dude, George Soros, the administration's Title IX proposal released last week rolls back guidance from the Trump administration and pushes gender ideology in the name of fighting transgender bias. Quote, my administration will continue to fight tirelessly to raise the promise of Title IX, that every person deserves an opportunity to pursue their education free from discrimination and realize their full potential, end quote, Biden said in a statement, according to Fox News. So what about white supremacists and white nationalists? Like, do they have the right to continue their opportunity to pursue their education? Because in order to pursue their education, they're going to need to be able to come up into the administration of the universities, and they're actually going to have to be able to assume positions of control. So are we supposed to allow the white nationalists and the white supremacists into the upper administration of the programs, or is this just for liberals? Because it definitely seems a little bit like it's just for liberals. The proposal covers a wide range of issues such as discrimination, sexual harassment, and assault, but perhaps most notably, the administration is proposing regulations that would give federal weight to transgender students participating in sports. See this? We got to get rid of this Civil Rights Act of 1964. We can keep everything in the CRA 1964 that has to do with voting rights, because the federal government does have a right to enforce voting laws if the citizens are being denied their right to vote under the, I forget which amendment. I think that's the 14th, right? Because they passed that one after the Civil War because they weren't giving them their rights. And then and in my opinion, the civil rights movement was a scam perpetrated by Democrats in order to get them to force desegregate so you can move white people into the neighborhood so that the black people could no longer have their House of Representatives members. Because if they had heavily black neighborhoods, then they would have been able to draw up their boundaries so that they had more political power. But whenever you force desegregated and then you move the students around, now the black people no longer have any representation. So it appeared like they were trying to help them out, but during the same period of time, they also did a false flag invasion of Vietnam, and they mass murdered about 1 million people. And they started this war on drugs under Lyndon B. Johnson. Most people think it was Nixon that started the war on drugs. He coined the term, the war on drugs. It was started by the Democrats so that they could target blacks and Mexicans. And so what they were doing here with the Civil Rights Act is they were pushing this interstate commerce regulation thing because they had to pass a constitutional amendment to ban alcohol. And because of that, they had to repeal that amendment. But then they got into this interstate commerce clause theory that you can just use interstate commerce clause to ban stuff like alcohol without having to go through the constitutional amendment process, which I do think is, I mean, it's obvious that since they had to pass a constitutional amendment to ban alcohol, then they would need to do the same thing to ban the other drugs. But then the Democrats were run by the KKK, so they were pretty much just a crime syndicate back then. And it's not at all baked into the cake of our Constitution that you have to give equal treatment or equal benefits under the law. It says you have to protect people equally. So when you're giving transgenders the right, like a man, to just join the women's sport so that he can dunk on them because he's a man and get first place so that the transgender person can feel like they're shattering boundaries, right? This doesn't protect the women. This is only protecting some extremely small minority of people. But the women are the much larger group of people. And this is an ongoing pattern with these liberals, is that they're trying to do this diversity, equity, and inclusion movement to move us into a progressive government where you don't have negative rights, you got positive rights. You got the right now to not be offended, which I'm going to move on faster here so that we can get to the Alex Jones lawsuit here, because that one is actually on another level. But they want to pass all these laws to target Republicans to now with the Alex Jones lawsuit. Now, I guess they have precedents where they can sue you if you are denying that something happens, like Sandy Hook, or if you denying, or if you're saying that there was a election F word going on, then they can now sue you because you're causing emotional distress to people by having an opinion that offends them. This is going the wrong way. We definitely need to be going the other way, away from this whole like entitled victimization game, where the name of the game in order to get power and to come up is not to like be smart and innovative and work really hard. It is now to blame someone else for oppressing you, pull out your victim card, say that this person is toxic, they're racist, they're homophobic, they're a misogynist, and we got to get rid of them, citing the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And then you're wanting all of these protections, but then you're not willing to give the protections to anybody else. This is a very troubling pattern here. All right, here in this next article here from the Washington Free Beacon, Soros triples election spending, pouring $70 million into 2020 efforts. Okay, I'm sorry. The number that I quoted before about Soros putting in $50 million into the 2020 election was wrong. It was $70 million, but that still is dwarfed by Mark Zuckerberg's $419.5 million donation that was not counted as a political action committee donation because it was given to get out the vote. That's what they're saying. Really what they're trying to do is ballot harvesting in large cities where billionaires can just pay people to go around and pick up ballots at the last minute. And they're trying to do this in the next election. We got to cut them off at the pass. We have to ban this. It has to be illegal for them to do ballot harvesting because it is fraud. If a billionaire can just pay you to go around and pick up ballots, that's fraud. That's him purchasing the election. That's not free speech. That's election engineering right there. So hey, if you like this content, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Ring the bell for notifications. Drop a comment down below and share it with your mom because you know your mom loves my show so much and she wants to hear from you so bad. She wants you to send her a link to this video on Facebook, maybe even on our OnlyFans page. Hey, stick around. We got more news to come. What are we talking about next? Next is we're going to be talking about the InfoWars thing. So stick around. The InfoWars lawsuit. All right, that took too long. How long we at? 35 minutes in the stream. Not too bad. I'm trying to keep it to an hour. This show is a mess up because what do? That one, oh, it's not working, huh? Okay. Sorry. It took a long time to get this stuff figured out. I finally got the scenes together, and then the whole computer was like crashing because there's just too many animations going on. But I got to figure it out. It took 2 weeks. This next article from Fox News. InfoWars star Alex Jones's parent company has filed for bankruptcy, and I'm inserting this, protections amid Sandy Hook $150 million defamation trial in Texas. The controversial InfoWars star Alex Jones, who is spookily right. I mean, you got to admit, this guy has been on top of it for almost all of the insane nut job conspiracy theories that have been going on that have been proven to be true, like the Bohemian Grove. This guy got into Bohemian Grove, and he got a U.S. congressman to admit that it's real on video. How do you get that? I mean, this guy is a legend. A legend. For real. For real. So he filed for bankruptcy protections, which is not exactly the same thing as bankruptcy because he's having... Okay, so this whole thing is scandalous as a mug. The judge in this case is blatantly politicizing the case. The judge is allowing certain media groups in, like the Law and Crime live stream, but they won't let in other ones. And they're letting in this group who is part of the lawsuit who... What did they run? They ran another political smear campaign, and I can't remember right off the top of my head. But they're notorious for putting out political smear videos. And so they have inside connection, front row seat to get their propaganda. And you got a far left liberal judge who is just blatantly politicizing the trial here. And Alex Jones has been forced to file for a default judgment, even though he's been there. Yeah, let's read in here. Keep reading on here in the article. So he filed for the protections on Friday amid the defamation damages trial underway in Texas, in which the family of one of the children killed in the 2012 Sandy Hook elementary school shootings is seeking $150 million or more in damages. The trial in Austin, where Jones lives and free speech system is based, is to determine how much Jones should pay for defaming Neil Heslin and Scarlett Lewis, whose 6-year-old son, Jesse Lewis, was among the 20 children and 6 educators killed in the nation's deadliest school shooting in Newtown, Connecticut. So the question here is, who did he defame and how did he defame them? So apparently Alex Jones defamed them by saying that it was a conspiracy theory because the school administration was negligent in protecting the children. They were supposed to put in protections for incidences like this, but they were completely negligent on it. Oops. But there was conspiracy theories going around on the internet, and then Alex Jones had promoted some of these conspiracy theories because they said it was like a staged thing, like they were crisis actors that they brought in. But he didn't say which one of these people were crisis actors. That's the problem with this, is that he had an unpopular opinion that was wrong. He believed this opinion. Other people believed this opinion and were spreading around like wildfire. But in this trial, they're acting as if Alex Jones is the person who came up with these false and defamatory claims, and that he was spreading them maliciously. I don't think that you can really make a case that he was, I don't think you can make the case that he was spreading them maliciously, because he genuinely believed them when he made the statements. What they're saying is they and the other Sandy Hook families suing Jones, saying they have suffered years of harassment and threats resulting from Jones's repeated false claims that the shooting was a hoax perpetuated to induce gun control measures or didn't happen. So he said it was either perpetrated to induce gun control measures or it didn't happen. So that doesn't sound like defamation to me. It seems like an unpopular opinion. Probably not true. It wrapped up its first week of testimony on Friday and is expected to conclude next week. Jones's attorney, Andino Renal, announced the bankruptcy filing in the day Friday. Both he and his attorneys and the family are suing Jones, told Judge Maya Guita Gamble of Travis County District Court that the bankruptcy filing would not halt the lawsuit. The New York Times reported that Gamble therefore ordered that the trial court continues to a verdict despite the bankruptcy filing, which in other circumstances would have stalled the litigation. It's not the first time a bankruptcy filing has come amid the litigation against Jones by the Sandy Hook families. In April, Jones' company InfoWars and two more of his businesses entities filed for bankruptcy protection, which led to a trial delay. Oh, okay, so this one he's actually filing for bankruptcy, right? So I think I misspoke earlier. So this one's the actual bankruptcy filing. Damn. Well, I'm going to have to re-record this video after this, because what I said before was not true. He's actually filing for bankruptcy. So in both states, judges issued default judgments against Jones without trials because he had failed to respond to court orders and overturned documents. No, the document they were requesting, I do believe, did not exist anymore. And that was why he was not able to give it to them, because not everybody saves every single document. I mean, there's definitely a lot of documents that I lose. And I lose important things sometimes. And it's because you don't mess up, or you're unable to not mess up all the time. You know, people are human. Christopher Mate, an attorney for Sandy Hook families in Connecticut case, issued a statement Friday evening blasting the bankruptcy filing. Quote, just 2 days before jury selection is due to begin in Connecticut, Mr. Jones had once again filed like a coward to bankruptcy court. Like a coward. what is bankruptcy court for? I mean, if you're going to like sue a company into bankruptcy, you're not going to get money from them because you just sued them into bankruptcy and they can just go bankrupt and just start another organization. So he fled like a coward to bankruptcy court in a transparent attempt to delay facing the families that has spent years hurting. How on earth is he hurting these families when the families were getting harassed by people who got the information from people other than Jones? Right? See, this is where this lawsuit is obviously a political hit job on Alex Jones. So Jones claimed in court records last year that he had negative net worth of $20 million, but attorneys for Sandy Hook families have painted a different financial picture. Well, I remember he went on the on the Timcast IRL podcast, and when he was talking about the bankruptcy protection thing, and he did say it's not like a total bankruptcy. So maybe they have a point. He might have messed up when he went on Timcast IRL and said that he's not totally bankrupt, that it's just a formality thing. Court records show that Jones InfoWars store, which sells nutrition supplements and survival gear, made more than $165 million between 2015 and 2018. That's pretty decent money. Yeah, it's kind of hard to say that you are completely bankrupt when you brought in that much revenue. I mean, obviously you got some, but I would definitely recommend checking out Viva Fry's live stream from today that he did with Robert Barnes. Robert Barnes knows a lot more about this than me. I was attempting to restate what Barnes had said, and I did a pathetic job because I don't know all of the facts about this case good enough. But I would highly recommend you checking out that live stream today because he explained it in very, very good detail. It sounds like there is some 10 out of 10 shady stuff going on with the judge here. That the judge hates Alex Jones personally, that he hates people who are like Alex Jones, and that he is trying to, it's a she, I think. Because a lot of times these female liberal judges are the most corrupt judges that you can come across, man. I swear to God, the female politicians are the most corrupt one. Who is the most corrupt politician you can possibly think of? Okay, so that's Joe Biden. But Nancy Pelosi, number two, most corrupt politician you have ever heard of is Nancy Pelosi, right? Am I right? Completely right. Nancy Pelosi is up there with China Joe Biden and his crackhead son Hunter Biden with most corrupt politicians in U.S. history. But hey, if you like this article, don't forget to smash that like button, hit that subscribe and notification button, and drop a comment down below and share it with your mom because she loves my show so much. She would just love to hear from you. Stick around. We got some more articles coming up here. Okay, do we have any? Let me do a real quick what do we got? Got to do I've been yapping too much, so I got to put my priorities together, which articles we're going to cover. We got to cover this Secret Service thing, the CIA thing, right? So I'm going to go in, instead of this migrant story, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to do I got to get the stuff on the thumbnail out of the way. Sometimes I'll forget. I'll yap too long. But here, let me, I have to observe the safety of the crew real quick. We'll just give you a moment to observe safety regulations here. We're in Oregon, so I have to make sure that we're operating safely over here. Because, you know, it's pretty risky when you're doing these YouTube live streams. You never know when you're going to get hit with something. So you got to, I'm going to get an OSHA violation if I am not practicing all of the safety guidelines here. All right. We're a lot safer right now. In our next article from Hacker News, jury finds programmer or CIA. Hold on. This camera's messed up right now. It's got some delay on it as messing me up. In our next article from Hacker News, jury finds former CIA programmer guilty of leaking CIA hacking materials. I remember hearing about this hacking release. These tools this person released were some nasty tools. Boy, the CIA, what they have been doing is on another level. It's like, wow. It's hard to believe. Hard to believe that the CIA has that much access. I mean, I'm glad that our guys are big and nasty because the Chinese guys are big and nasty. I mean, the Chinese Communist Party guys. And we do need some people who are as thug as the Russians. Now, our people are pretty thug. You know, we don't really need to have a competition for who is the most thug here. But the United States is pretty thug. This article is from The Dissenter. It says jury finds former CIA programmer guilty of CIA hacking materials to WikiLeaks. So a federal judge in New York convicted the former CIA employee Joshua Schult of violating the Espionage Act when he allegedly released materials on the CIA hacking capabilities to WikiLeaks. This was the second trial against Schulte in March of 2020. His first trial ended in a mistrial on several espionage charges, but he was found guilty of a contempt of court and lying to the FBI. This was the second trial against Schulte in March 2020. His first... Oh, sorry. It's the same paragraph. Unlike the first trial, Schulte represented himself and argued his case. He again maintained he was not the source of the leaks published by WikiLeaks. A jury deliberated for nearly 3 days before announcing a verdict. Judge Jesse M. Furman in the Southern District of New York did not schedule a sentencing date because there are other charges pending against Schulte. Known as the, quote, Vault 7, end quote, materials, WikiLeaks began releasing documents on March 7th of 2017. They came from what WikiLeaks described as an isolated high-security network situated inside the CIA's Center for Cyber Intelligence. Documents reveal how the CIA could target iPhones, Androids, Samsung TVs, and convert the device's microphones into bugs used to spy on targeted persons so they could watch you having sex. So some creepy dude at the CIA can go... So some creepy dude at the CIA can be like jerking off, watching you bang people. Let's see. So what's going on? It was the largest leak of information of the history of the CIA and a huge embarrassment for the then CIA director Mike Pompeo, who responded by labeling WikiLeaks, quote, non-state hostile intelligence agency and developing, quote, secret war plans against the media organization that included kidnapping or even killing WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. Woo! Yeah. Well, I guess maybe here I'm going to try to add this thing. I got to respond to a comment, but I don't have it quite set up. So just give me a second here while I add the how do I do that? I'm going to have to add the desktop and then all right, so responding to this comment from Shifty Eyes Shady says, conspiracy tinfoil hat. I guess I am wearing a tinfoil hat because there is no deep state. There's no CIA agents that are spying on American citizens. There's no deep state conspiracy against Trump by the Hillary Clinton campaign and the deep state FBI, like the people that John Durham was doing his trial against, the Kevin Kleinsmith, the FBI attorney who did the fake warrant to survey Trump Tower. And then you had the Hillary Clinton was trying to get elected president, and her husband wrote on Lolita Express with a guy named Jeffrey Epstein. He's on the records being on Lolita Express 26 times. Then you got this Bohemian Grove thing. And I'm not sure. I mean, maybe these people just don't know what Bohemian Grove is. Maybe they've never seen the pictures. Maybe to them, this is just completely new because they're like in a different place. Let's just give them the benefit of the doubt that they have no idea what is going on at the Bohemian Grove. Like, they do this weird satanic ritual thing where they have an owl god and they do mock human sacrifice. So this thing that they're burning here is a mock human, and they're pretending like they're setting it on fire, and it's actually just like a stove. And Alex Jones got in and took videos of these people, and you can clearly see that. Usually it's on there. We can clearly see in this picture, we can see a picture of Nixon and Reagan at the Bohemian Grove. So presidents are involved in this organization. Just remember that if you see anything like this owl god statue, and you see a bunch of world leaders engaging in anything like this, and you think that they're involved in a satanic cult because they're doing mock human sacrifice, then you are an insane conspiracy theorist. There's no reason why you would think that these people are engaging in a satanic ritual over here. They are just doing mock human sacrifice to an owl god in some grove in California. There's nothing to see here. Just move along. There's no child sex trafficking cult going on in Bohemian Grove. All right, so Brent from Some Hemp saying it's playing at 2x speed. I'm not sure what's going on. So now that we've shown you that there is, in fact, actually a satanic cult that's running our country. Now let's get back to these CIA hacker materials. And so the CIA has been spying on us, and they have been organizing these shadow campaigns to take out Donald Trump. But if you say anything about it, you're a crazy, insane conspiracy theorist. If you say anything about the Democrats using open borders to replace the electorate with Latinos who vote blue no matter who, because the Democrats gave their parents food stamp and welfare, and they opened the borders and they targeted the white people in order to bring them in. So now the children of the Latinos now owe Democrats a vote. That's the problem with what's going on, is it's a quid pro quo. The Democrats are saying, we want you to vote for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to break the law. We're going to bring you in, and we're going to give you food stamps and welfare, even though that's illegal. And the people who are going to pay for it are the white people, because the white people were the racist people, and they're at the top, even though the Asians make almost twice as much money as the white people do. Apparently, the white people are at the top of the pyramid because apparently we've got some sort of privilege because we're not gangbanging and getting arrested. We're not. Well, I mean, our people are out partying and doing drugs, but those people aren't doing well in life either. Everybody who's acting like the black kids in the ghetto who are getting really bad grades and engaging in crime, all of those people are doing really badly in life. There's not any of them that you can point to that are actually doing good. They're almost all doing really, really bad. And it's because they made very bad life choices. The white ones are doing bad. The black ones are doing bad. But the problem is they're trying to use this racism thing as a wedge issue. And if you say anything about these people just being complete F-ups and wasting their opportunity, then they start painting you as racist. And so what's going on is they got the wolf warrior diplomacy. So, wolf warrior diplomacy, you can look it up on Wikipedia. What it is there's this video series called the Wolf Warrior Videos. And they, this is in the country of China. And they're painting white people as white supremacists. And it's kind of like Rambo, only it's with the Chinese people taking out racist white American who's a white supremacist. He's like a neo-Nazi. And so they're utilizing this kind of propaganda to get the Chinese people to hate us. It's not the best way to get it. They don't really believe this stuff. They know it's propaganda. Some of the people who were brainwashed from a young age, like the younger people, they'll believe all of the nationalist narrative there in China. But a lot of them in China have worked with Americans, and then they know that this is just made up, and Americans don't actually act like that. Anybody who's been around Americans know it's made up. But the problem is that Hollywood makes about double in China as they do in America. So they're beholden financially to the Chinese Communist Party because they need to get their videos shown in China. So because of this, it gives the Chinese Communist Party the ability to utilize Hollywood videos to push propaganda. This is highly problematic. And then in comes the CIA. So then the CIA started taking over Hollywood. I know this sounds kind of tinfoil hat to some people, but it's true. It's 100% true. The CIA took over Hollywood in order to counter this wolf warrior diplomacy stuff. And it does sound like nuts either you're a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist, or you are an absolute lunatic, or you're a grifter, or it's actually going on. And it really is going on, because the Hollywood film producers are getting inside access to the CIA so that they can make videos about the CIA, because the CIA works with them on videos where they need to make something about the CIA seem realistic. So the CIA will bring Hollywood movie producers to CIA headquarters to show them around, and in exchange for this inside access, they allow the CIA to manipulate the people with propaganda through their films. And it's all kind of a legitimate thing with this wolf warrior thing, because that's pretty scary that China has the ability to push this kind of propaganda through our media. And then now you got the CIA has all these hacking tools where it's like they're getting into your TVs, into all your smartphones, your iPhone, and it's like, okay, I can understand there's an existential deadly threat. But the problem is that the CIA is controlled by these woke Democrats, and they're nut jobs. These people are nut jobs because they have bought their own propaganda. This propaganda that they're putting out is counter wolf warrior propaganda. This is not actually like real. This isn't like the woke stuff and all of this combating the quote unquote white supremacy threat is all in the interest of putting out propaganda that appears like the Chinese propaganda is not correct, that the government of the United States is the opposite of that. And then they start pushing. The problem is it's causing injury. It's causing injury because they're targeting people. They're getting people all worked up about racism. They have plants in big tech where they're able to put out this propaganda, and you just don't even notice what's going on. You just are scrolling through your feed, and you'll see like some video of a Chinese person who is giving English lessons. And you're like, okay, well, this is cool. This Chinese woman is pretty, and so you watch the video, and then it's like, cool. So turns out the CCP had paid this woman to make these videos to make you like China by teaching you stuff about China and showing you a Chinese person and saying, hey, look, this is how the people in China act. This is why you should like us. And then you'll scroll down just a little bit beyond that, and then you'll get some CIA propaganda that's just cleverly placed right underneath it, and you don't even notice that it's going on because it's not something that would click with a normal person. Wouldn't do something like that. But people start to believe this stuff. They start to, whenever they're a Democrat, they're working in the federal government, they have to abide by the Civil Rights Act of 1964, so they're not allowed to discriminate based upon any sort of metrics. And this causes the people who work for the government to be institutionalized, anti-racist, and feminist. If they think that you are racist or sexist, they're going to fire you, citing the Civil Rights Act of 1964, because apparently equal protection is only applied to non-whites and women. That's called white feminism, if you've ever heard of that one. So whenever they start to internalize this, whenever they start to believe their own propaganda, this is where it starts to get weird, because they start to put out more propaganda based off of the old propaganda, and they're trying to combat a narrative, and then the other can't speak right now. The other side starts to put out evolved propaganda that changes the narrative. So you're not just dealing with the original propaganda narrative. Now you have to evolve and morph onto that propaganda narrative. And then now you're giving the other side the ability to now affect your propaganda narrative by putting out and changing the propaganda line. So now we have multiple iterations and evolutions of this propaganda. And it starts to become highly problematic now at this point in time, because it's like insane at a certain point in time, because like they've targeted an enemy. They've targeted the white males because they're racist and they're Christian, so they're homophobic and they're transphobic and they're sexist, so they're a misogynist. Because you're a misogynist, that means you got to be a racist. If you're a racist, that means you're a white supremacist. If you're a white supremacist, that means you're a neo-Nazi, an alt-right, white nationalist, fascist, KKK, white supreme pizza, extremist. And it's kind of just insane, because these narratives are just spreading around like wildfire on social media. Because it starts off, you got like the CIA putting out propaganda on Wikipedia, rigging the narrative to counter this wolf warrior diplomacy. And then you get Antifa coming up there. And then you got all these white feminists. Then you get the BLM people. Then you get the communists. And then you lose complete control, because Wikipedia is a private organization. They're the ones that are in control of when they edit lock the articles. So we're kind of at the mercy of the CIA, the CCP, and a bunch of insane nutjob leftist, BLM, Antifa, Nazi, communist, lunatic, like mentally insane white feminists that have like 2 or more mental illnesses. They are on 3 or more prescribed medications. They have 8 cats. They're an alcoholic. They buy wine by the box. And they don't just buy it by the box. They shop around for when it's on sale so they could stock up on boxes. I mean, we're talking cat lady level 8+, which means they have 8 cats. Well, I'm gonna have to fess up. I'm actually kind of insulting myself here. I'm actually single. I'm 40 and I do have 8 cats, but I'm not an alcoholic. I don't drink alcohol. I just take safety breaks to ensure that we're following OSHA standards here in the workplace. But what about it? The CIA stuff? Yeah, it's creepy. So if it's not the CIA spying on you, watching your adult videos that you made with your partner on your iPhone or Android device, watching you through your Samsung smart TV, then it's the CCP. Now you got TikTok is leaking their information that they said was only on U.S. servers. They gave it to the Chinese Communist Party in China. And they have these creepy contract stipulations in the terms of service where if you sign in on a mobile device or any other device, they have permission to data mine your device to get any information off of it that you give them permission to. They'll get all of your pictures, all of your nudie pics. Yeah, Xi Jinping's over there jerking off to them. Woo! You never thought you'd be having some Chinese dude jerking off to your homemade porn in Shanghai, did you, huh? Welcome to 2022, baby! But hey, I gotta move on to the next article. Hey, don't forget to smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications of breaking news. And drop a comment down below. And this time, send this one to your uncle, because you know this is your uncle's favorite show, and he would love to hear from you. All right, what is the next one? Sorry about the cameras. I've tried really hard to get those cameras to work right. Everything's fighting me. It's not my fault. Whoops. Oops. Oh, where's my header? Let me put the header back real quick. All right, I'm taking way too long on this show. I'm supposed to only have like an hour-long show. It's not the biggest deal. Mainly for my own time, and nobody wants to watch long videos. You know, people tune in on a live stream, but then you see the video afterwards. It's like, oh, it's 2 hours. I'm not gonna watch that. So I'm trying to keep them down to an hour, but you know, I can only do what I can do. I think in the future it's gonna be smooth. Right now, this thing's been such a hassle. So I got to get the other thing off of the thumbnail first before I... What was the other thing? No, I did the two things. That was the CIA leaking thing, right? Okay. So I'm done with the thumbnail stuff. Now I can do whatever I want. You just gotta, it's embarrassing when I put out a video and then I got like a story in the headline and it's in the thumbnail and then I forget to do the story. It happens. I'm a human. I'm not perfect. I'm just some dude. In our next article from Fox News, January 6th, Secret Service deleted text requested by investigators. Watchdog report says, the report claims the Secret Service deleted texts from January 5th and 6th that were requested by officials investigating the January 6th Capitol riot. So they're just like deleting all their texts from the day before. That's pretty suspicious. What do we got? Zoom in. The Secret Service deleted texts from January 5th and 6th of 2021 that were requested by officials investigating the breaches of the U.S. Capitol, like when they opened up the magnetic locks from the inside and just let the rioters in. Now, I looked and I did do a more detailed analysis of the videos from as many different angles as I could find of when the siege happened. And there were people that broke in through some windows. They had some boards on the outside and they broke in. And so there were some limited people that had gotten in. The cops had sent people to these locations where the people had been breaking in. So the cops had been able to keep people out of these areas. There was a smaller flow. It wasn't an incredibly large flow. And then they opened up those magnetic doors, and then a flood of people came in. But that wasn't the only place where they were coming in to the building from. I just want to, make note that I'm not like a political hack who's just going to like make up stuff and not do any sort of investigation. I'm going to tell you the facts as close to reality as I'm able to get them. Inspector General Joseph Curari said in a letter to the congressional committees investigating the Jan 6 riot that many messages were, quote, erased as part of a device replacement program, and, quote, after his office had requested electronic communications from the Secret Service during their, quote, evaluation of the events at the Capitol on January 6th, end quote. Quote, it's concerning, obviously, end quote, Representative Bernie Thompson, Democrat from Mississippi, House January 6th Committee Chairman and House Homeland Security Committee Chairman, told Axios on Thursday, if there's a way we can reconstruct the text or what have you, we will, end quote. Kufari also wrote that the requested document collection was delayed for weeks because of the Department of Homeland Security insisted that all records needed a legal review, creating, quote, confusion over whether all records had been produced, end quote. My own personal theory on it is that Nancy Pelosi intended for the riot to get out of control. Donald Trump asked for 20,000 National Guard troops to be at January 6th. That's a lot. That would definitely have stopped it. But then they were turned down. They were turned down by Nancy Pelosi, by the head of the U.S. Capitol Police, who is a Black Lives Matter supporter. That entire Democrat or swamp there in D.C. is full of Democrat swamp monsters. Like, they're pretty much the norm around there. So then you got Mr. Ray Epps, who is not getting charged. And no matter what they say, I'm definitely not going to believe. If the guy's not getting brought in and testifying at the January 6th committee, and he's not getting charged by the FBI, he's a Fed. He is. Oath Keepers is a law enforcement group run by feds. Like, the group is literally it's literally like military and law enforcement. And the FBI, they infiltrate far-right organizations, quote-unquote anti-government organizations like the Oath Keepers and the Three Percenters, which are not anti-government organizations. Oath Keepers are, by definition, pro-U.S. government. That's the entire point of the Oath Keepers, is that they took an oath to the Constitution to serve and protect. So they're definitely not anti-government. They're pro-government. But it just goes to show you, there's something going on here with Wikipedia, with the fake news industrial complex, aka FNIC, with big tech, with the far left universities, where, you could call it a complex of mutual interests. But it kind of seems like every rock you look under, there's a George Soros or Obama puppet popping out. And there's like shady stuff going on with Democrats. With like most of these people, you can look into, with most of these Democrats, you could look into their business dealings in Washington, and you got some shady stuff going on. Like Nancy Pelosi's husband Like, he's always buying and selling stocks at these perfectly timed times where he's like cashing out on all of these government deals. And people, like, they're completely clueless that this woman is becoming one of the most wealthy people in the country off of exploiting the government. Like, Nancy and Paul Pelosi are two of the most corrupt people in American history, up there with China and Joe Biden. The guy that sold us out to China, that took the bribes from the Chinese Communist Party, the one that purposely took down the United States economy in order to get scam money from the green tech, from the solar panels, from the electric car subsidies. Like, all of these people who are pushing the green tech, a lot of them have stocks in green tech companies. They believe in the green tech. So it's not 100% a scam. Like, a lot of these people are just dumb and they don't know what they're talking about. Like, they think that it's actually going on. So it is, in a certain way, it's a complex of stupidity. It's not. I think Joe Biden took millions of dollars from the Chinese Communist Party to sell us out because he started taking bribes, and then he obviously is getting blackmailed at a certain point whenever you're taking millions of dollars from the Chinese Communist Party. And then at that point in time, he just started selling out America, stabbing us in the back, opening up the borders, flooding the place with illegal immigrants who are poor, and like draining our health services, our public schools. We don't even have enough food for our own population right now. There's like a fertilizer shortage. People are going to be like dying by the millions from starvation pretty soon. And then we got like millions and millions of poor people now that are requiring food stamps. And the Democrats are just perfectly fine with giving them welfare and food stamps because they can say that the white people are just being white supremacists, and then they'll trick their kids into voting for Democrats, thinking that they're helping, that they're the good guys, when in reality the Democrats are like the most corrupt people that you could possibly come across. Like, they got this deep state FBI network going on where they got most of the people who run the FBI are corrupt deep state hacks. And they've been breaking the law with this whole Russiagate thing, doing illegal investigations on Donald Trump, targeting people, doing like the staged kidnapping of Michigan Governor Whitmer. In order to make Trump supporters look bad, the FBI actually set these people up to storm the Capitol and to kidnap the governor so that they can bust him, so that they can make Trump supporters sound like they're a far-right threat. And it's like, it's a setup. And it's, you know, it's like, it's so difficult to try to inform people about this. I can use some support because, like, my friends here in Eugene, Oregon are ultra-lib, like Burning Man people, and I really stuck my neck out to attempt to talk sense into people doing this news show. I put like a lot into this news show, and they've been just dumping on me, like acting like I'm some far-right conspiracy theorist lunatic. And then the Republicans, like, they're not on the same page too. Like most of the Republicans I've talked to have not seen 2,000 mules yet. Like, I saw 2,000 mules within the first couple of days after it was released. I've known about the information. That was just confirmation. I've known about all of that stuff. I've been talking about it on my show. I've been suspended on my show multiple times for talking about it. And then it proved to be true. And so, yeah, I need you to smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell for notifications when I go live, because I've got a really good show, and it's going to be going on the daily here. So if you could help me spread this message. I am actually sticking my neck out, and I have received pretty much like the worst, most devastating impact that you can, which is social ostracism from your friend group and persistent verbal attacks when you run a business. It's been pretty devastating, but you know what? I am not a pussy. I have a spine, and we will be continuing to fight back. I can actually just continue to actually rip them a new one here for pretty much, for pretty much like free. I don't even, you know, I'm in a situation where I could punch really hard without having to pay any extra cost, because I've already paid the cost for engaging in the punch up activities. They've definitely been kicking down, and they're pretty good at that. Like, but what is this article about? Yeah, we have to stick together with this narrative, because what's happening is they've gaslit us. They've said you can't talk about the 2,000 mules. You cannot say that it's true. You are allowed to say it in the chat, but they've essentially censored us because they've stuck their foot down on the scale for the Democrats. And now we have to keep drumming the same beat. We can't stop. Like, we can't turn beta, turn into a complete pussy, and give up, roll over, play dead, and say, you know, you got us, you know, it was all legit. It was the most secure election in U.S. history. And then apologize and be like, I'm so sorry. I was toxic masculinity. I supported Trump. I'm racist. Please forgive me. Because you know what they're going to do is they're going to be like, all right, yeah. So this guy was bad, you know? He's admitting it now, you know? No. You got to play a real hard game. Like, you cannot let your guard down with these people. You have to stand up straight. You have to act as if you're strong. You have to not apologize. Do not apologize about believing the truth. This is a badge of honor. If they have come and attacked you and they've harmed you because you have been spreading the truth, this means that you are a patriot. You are one of the good people. And when history looks back on this time, they will look at people like you and I as heroes, because we will have been the people that were the ones who brought sanity. We brought the truth, even when we had to pay almost the ultimate consequence. The ultimate consequence is losing your life, but coming up close to that is social ostracism from your friend group. And I have had to pay that price. And let me tell you, I don't really miss the crazy, insane, drugged out lunatics from the bar. I don't particularly care about doing cocaine at the bar that has fentanyl in it. I actually got some at a bar with a friend of mine that had some, and it fucked me up. It ruined my fucking day. I was like itching. I had a hot girlfriend, and I was gonna get laid. And then I did some coke at a bar with a buddy, and it had some fentanyl in it. And then next thing you know, I'm like itching myself, and then I got these like scratches, marks, because it just was itching from that shit. And then everything like blew up with this girl, and then like, yeah. And then she left me, and then so you got to watch out, because now that they got the borders open, now the country's flooded with this fentanyl, cocaine, meth, all these nasty drugs. And so now the cartel's taken over, and they're pretty violent people. They're criminals. They sell stuff to people that kills them. They'll put fentanyl in cocaine for an innocent person, and it'll totally mess them up. And it does. It messes you up. Like that night that I was just telling you about, like that messed me up, because I had just came out as red pill, and then I had found this super hot girlfriend, and I was sticking my neck out promoting red pill, and then like that night was just like messed everything up, like really bad, because like the girl found out what was going on, and that was pretty much the end of it, because she was working at a prison, a jail, or worked at there doing some helping people get out, like an investigator, not like the jail guard, but like somebody helps you get out. And so after that, then I started being a Republican, and then people started attacking me nonstop. Like the Black Lives Matter thing, it evolved from they're just protesting police brutality to they're like attacking people that they're calling are racist. And then January 6th happened, and then now it's like they're trying to treat us like we're terrorists. And they have enough people, because about 1/3 of people are Democrats, 1/3 of them are Republicans, and 1/3 are independents. Which I don't think it's wise to say them independents. I think there's a centrist leftist, or the center leftist, and then there's fence sitters. I think is a better. They're not really independent. I don't really think so. I don't think they're independent at all. I think they make all of their decisions based off of propaganda from other people. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next article. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Ring that bell for notifications, because you know you don't want to miss a minute. Okay, so maybe you do actually want to miss a minute. You don't really actually care, but hey, sometimes I have really, really bad your mom jokes. So if you do like really bad your mom jokes, you might want to subscribe. Maybe share this video on social media. All right, so what are we doing next? Oops, sorry. I guess we're doing this one next. Oh, the vaccine mandate. Okay, I got to do one other thing here. Then we'll get to AOC right after that one, okay? From Fox News, federal judge pauses dismissal of Air Force members who refuse the COOF vax. The dismissed lawsuit, which began locally, has now affected Air Force servicemen around the world lobbying similar protests. Cincinnati U.S. District Court Judge Matthew McFarland ordered the Air Force to stop discharging service members who claimed religious exemption from the vax mandate. The pause is currently set to last for 14 days. And so this is actually, I apologize, this episode is actually, I guess, 14 days later. So the pause is not currently in effect. I'm sorry, I'm having technical glitches, and I didn't want to like dump these articles because they're too hot button. Really good set of articles here. The local lawsuit, which started with just under 100 plaintiffs at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, now impacts thousands of Air Force personnel worldwide. Quote, "We're pleased by the judge's decision protecting the constitutional rights of service members who dedicated their lives to protecting our constitutional rights," end quote. Attorney Chris Weiss told local outlet Fox 19, quote, "We'll continue to litigate this case to its conclusion and look forward to continuing this battle with federal government," end quote, Weiss added. In fact, I'm actually filing a lawsuit over this vaccine mandate. Hopefully tomorrow. I'm going to try to get a hold of this one law group tomorrow to try to get an attorney. But I was kicked out of the Portland State Engineering Computer Science program because I was protesting their illegal vaccine mandate, and I wrote a nasty letter on my vaccine mandate waiver that said, "F you, you Democrat, POS, S my D, F Joe Biden, and Hyena Harris," is what I said. So they got me in trouble with the conduct office. They gave me the boot. They said I had disrupted the administration, so they want me to write some sort of like apology letter or something. But I appealed it. They denied it. My appeal grounds was that you have a right to free speech, and in order for the court, the state to abridge your right to free speech in a proceeding, they can't use a preponderance of the evidence. They have to use the higher evidence standard, clear and convincing evidence, which has some hurdles that the state has to jump over. One of them being that they are using the minimal amount of intervention needed to eliminate the detrimental situation. This detrimental situation was allegedly that I had disrupted the administration of the school by insulting Democrats. And so that is clearly protected political speech. I mean, I said, "F you, Democrat, POS, and S my D, F Joe Biden." And then I said something about the vaccine mandate was illegal. All right. And so they did not address my claims of that they did not use the proper evidence procedure. They said that I had brought up a procedural question, but they didn't say what the procedural question was. Now, if they would have said it, they would have had to have denied my appeal. So this is just blatantly, it's a corruption thing going on. These people who are working the administration, they live in gated communities. They're ivory tower liberals. They're sitting up top, they ivory tower. So when they piss on you, it doesn't affect them from their gated community. They can open up the borders because they only let in Latinos and blacks to mow their lawn. Right? They really don't let the blacks in. They just let the Latinos in because they think they're better landscapers. So when they implement these harsh draconian policies, the effect of it is it doesn't affect them because they're losers. They just don't talk that much. And then whenever they do, it's to control the speech around them because they can't actually compete in the marketplace of ideas without censorship. They have to be able to censor you in order to control you because it's just the only way that you would actually comply. This is the problem with liberalism as a whole, is that you have to get people to comply with it. And in order to get them to comply with it, you have to use these really harsh draconian measures like cancellation, like getting targeted with Civil Rights Act lawsuits, like getting fired for false allegations of being racist, sexist, misogynist, etc., etc. So this vaccine mandate essentially was like a purge of anybody who is a wrong thinker, who is not a Democrat drone, who anybody who is questioning their authority. Now you're trying to kill grandma and we have to get rid of you. So this was a while ago when it happened, and then they didn't give me my appeal until April, and then I sent them in right after the appeal. I sent in my lawsuit to the state, so I'm good to go on the time for filing the lawsuit. But I'm going to go file that next week. If you guys know anybody who is to back my lawsuit, I could use some help, because you know I have such a good case. Because basically what we're saying is that the school's been abridging people's rights with these code of conduct office violations where they're using a preponderance of the evidence. Now, I'm not sure exactly how they've been getting away with this, because it's very clear if you read most like laws that pertain to taking your liberties, that they have to use clear and convincing evidence. Like if you're going to get out of jail, if you got thrown in jail and you go to an arraignment and they're determining if they're going to let you out, they need to use clear and convincing evidence to keep you in the prison, that you're not going to show up to the trial. So if you want to take somebody's child from them in court, if you want to get custody of their child, you have to show clear and convincing evidence. And the reason for this is because you have a First Amendment right to unabridged free speech, peaceful assembly, freedom of religion, freedom of the press. And in order for the state to abridge this right, they have to use clear and convincing evidence in the proceeding. They have to show that the state is using the minimal amount of intervention that is required to eliminate the detrimental circumstances. So the legal language that I'm taking this from is from third-party child custody. Third-party child custody is 100% based off of your First Amendment rights. Your right to the care, custody, and control of your child is a First Amendment right based around the right to freedom of association, which is an implied right from the right to unabridged peaceful assembly and the right to petition the government. So in my case, I was petitioning the government for a vaccine mandate waiver. They denied the vaccine mandate waiver by getting me in trouble with the Code of Conduct Office. Then they kicked me out. And then I think they granted the vaccine mandate waiver after that. But I was kicked out. So at that point in time, you know, it's functionally no different than if I hadn't put in the vaccine waiver and they kicked me out over that. So I think I've got a good lawsuit. I think I'm suing for, what is it? I think I can only get like $1.7 million under the Oregon Tort Claims Act. I forget exactly what it is. But I'm going to hit them hard on this, because this vaccine mandate was illegal. Because they needed to go through a procedure in order to deprive you of your rights. You can't, it's not like a thing where the administrative state can just deprive you of your rights. Like, for instance, with the federal vaccine mandate, the executive branch is the boss of the federal government. So they can do things that a boss would force you to do, like a normal boss. But a normal boss can't force you to engage in an experimental vaccine. That would violate the Nuremberg Code. There's laws against this going back from World War II, when the Germans We're doing the atrocious medical experiments on the people in the concentration camps. You can't force us to engage in a medical experiment. There's all kinds of bad things that have been coming out about the vaxxx. For sure, there's like very harmful side effects to those mRNA vaccines. It's not like a normal vaccine. It's first off, the vaccine just wasn't effective the way that they said it was. The information that I read from the studies that I read was that there was a death rate increase from the mRNA vaccines, and that the traditional style vaccine, the live attenuated virus, the one that they do most of the flu vaccines, that one was very effective because it didn't have the mRNA in it. But I guess, we'll find out in 10 years. I'm just glad that I didn't get that vaxxx, for sure. But hey, if you like this content, stick around. We got some more articles coming up here real quick. But this is, wait, here, let me read the one last little thing in here for the people who aren't reading the thing. It says, in March, the Supreme Court temporarily granted the Pentagon's request to limit the deployment of unvaccinated active U.S. military members who refused to get the shots based on religious grounds. Yeah, because they were using aborted baby fetuses in the thing. So if you were against abortion because you think abortion is murder, then this vaxxx, they're forcing you to get a vaccine that's got some aborted baby part fetuses in it. They don't even know it's going to work. And then, who was it, that woman who worked at the FDA who was like a regulator? I can't remember exactly who it was or what exactly her position title was, but she came out and said they knew the vaccine was going to not be effective, but they just made people get it anyways. I hate to say it, but I was saying it the whole time. Ever since the start of that pandemic, I started doing this show. And the beginning of this show, the very beginning of this show, I was making an open source ventilator for COVID. I got these cool, funny videos that, I swear up and down, we're going to need to hook up all these people up to these ventilators. Turned out to be a complete scam. They didn't need the ventilators at all. And then once I learned about that, people had like these ulterior financial motivations. Then, the cat was out of the bag. The gig was up. I was red-pilled. I realized people were lying to you. The feminists were like these wing nuts, like doing all this insane stuff. And it's just like you don't notice. You think they're like just trying to help out, but it's like people are trying to make money. So this says First Liberty Institute and law firm Schaefer Jeffrey LLP filed a separate lawsuit against the Department of Defense and Air Force last month on behalf of Air Force members who have not been vaccinated against coronavirus, about 2%. So the biggest problem about these vaccine mandates is not necessarily the people who protested the mandates and who are going to sue, like me suing Portland State. The thing that's going to cause the most legal damages are the people who took the vaccine, who are then later going to be able to sue places like Portland State University that implemented these policies illegally without following the due process clause of the 14th Amendment, the substantive due process clause of the 14th Amendment, using the clear and convincing evidence hurdle in the process in order to deprive citizens of their fundamental federally protected rights. Those people are going to have an avalanche of lawsuits, and the people have damages. I definitely have some damages that I can prove that I sustained because I have invested quite a bit of money into the school. By delaying my education, delaying me graduating, this is causing financial injury. I paid a lot of money. I'm $100,000 in debt almost from this degree, this engineering degree. It's like, y'all need to pay for that because most people think that a court can overturn a state law. It's actually not true. A state can pass illegal laws all at once. It's actually free speech. The first time I tried to sue the state, which was related to this clear and convincing evidence thing, but not the same thing, it was the predecessor to it, I did not understand. I thought you could just sue the state because they violated my federal rights. So that means you can sue them. That's not actually the way it works. It's actually bozo. The way it works is that the state can or doesn't have to follow federal law. The state is sovereign. When a state passes a law, the legislature is only writing that law on a piece of paper. So it's basically speech. Imagine that I had written the same law that I'm trying to sue for, and I had written it on a piece of paper and I gave it to people. Is that legal for me to write down whatever law? Like let's say I debated Hunter Avallone on his show the other day, and so we were debating about gay marriage and anti-miscegenation laws, which means that black people you can only marry within your race. So my argument was that the state can pass an anti-miscegenation law. Now, as Hunter got triggered by this because he doesn't understand how it works, it's totally okay for the state to pass a law that is illegal because all they've done is just write it on a piece of paper. They're a sovereign government, but they're just like a person. It's like I had written that, but then other people who work for the state implement and enforce these laws. So when these people violate your rights, you can sue them, but you can't sue the legislator because, let's say 45 or 51% of them voted for the law. So it passed just by 1%. Okay, so you're going to sue the legislator. Who do you sue? Who are you going to drag into court to sue? Who are these people that violated your rights by writing something on a piece of paper? None of them. None of them. All they did was wrote something on a piece of paper and they signed it. And then some other dude came and violated your rights based off of that. But the person could have chose to not follow the law because they thought it was illegal. Maybe said that I'm going to go get legal counsel before I go off violating your rights, right? Because that would just be a smart thing to do, right? With this thing with the vaccine mandates, they're in a lot of trouble. So I think I've walked us through the legal theory because this is complicated. I had to battle through court for years on constitutional grounds, so I'm not an expert at it, but I'm pretty knowledgeable. I can explain the history and the core foundational elements of it. I'm gonna fall flat on my face when it comes to procedural hurdles, doing stuff that attorneys do. I'm not an attorney, but I would definitely go as far as to say I'm an amateur constitutional scholar. Amateur, certainly. I am the founder of the Freedom Government. Hey, we're on Facebook now. Go over to facebook.com/Freedom Government. Smash that like button if you want to help us preserve and proliferate freedom and liberty and democracy around the world. Also, we have an open source voting machine project. So the people who implement in these vaccine mandates, they don't have the same protections as the state legislator who wrote a law. Say they wrote a vaccine mandate into law, right? That is their free speech. But it's not the free speech of the school administration. Like the people who actually implemented these illegal vaccine mandates, they don't have the same judicial protection, or sorry, the same protection as the legislators do, as in it's just free speech. No, this is a federal government employee who is not the legislator. They're not a sovereign entity. No, they're game for a lawsuit. So there's going to be an avalanche of lawsuits. I could use a financial backer for my lawsuits. If you know anybody who wants to back the freedom government, just hit me up on Facebook. Facebook.com/freedom government. We're also at github.com/freedom government. And also too, freedom government on YouTube. Open source government. Yeah, so yeah, stick around. Got some more articles coming, but don't forget to smash that like button and the subscribe button. Ring the bell so that you can see all of the wild antics. There's gonna be people coming onto the show. I have cool friends in high and low places, and so we'll get more entertaining content here coming at you. If you know any super cool people that want to live stream into the show, too, I'm setting up that. Setting up, well, pretty much it's already set up. Okay, so let's do another scene. What do we got? Oops. All right, here our next article. Here we've got some offensive jokes coming from Kale. So the next question that I've got for you is, I'm sorry, I was working on this bit, but it's too offensive. I know I'm such a tease. It's just so bad. I gotta watch what I'm saying though. I debated Hunter Avalon the other day, and my debate style was ruthless, and I triggered him hard so that I could take advantage of him in the argument. And so just gotta watch out to the jokes I'm cracking today. I was very, very happy with my debate skills with Hunter. I definitely, I would say that I shut him down and tore his ass a new one. But, you know, it's probably a matter of perspective. He's probably going to be saying the same thing. His logic, he doesn't know what things mean. That's the problem with Hunter. I like the guy. I think he could be totally cool and a really good person, but he doesn't know what words mean. That's the problem, and then he gets angry. But it's him not knowing. It's because he was homeschooled. Now that's the reason why Hunter was putting out such good videos back in the day, and then they fell to shit because when he was putting out good videos, it's because he was homeschooled and he wasn't brainwashed. But then he wasn't smart enough to understand the words. And so then he turned into a brainwashed beta boy. And then now he's an angry liberal doing the exact same things that everybody on the right is talking about that makes liberals such bad people. He pretty much does it. It's like, I don't know if he'll snap out of it. I don't know. Maybe if he debates people enough to where he understands how the government works, how economies work, maybe he could be a cool guy. Right now, though, it's like, what the hell, Hunter? You used to be so cool. In our next article from The Independent, who is Alex Stein, the troll who sexually harassed AOC? Says he's a troll. Ignore him. He'll go away. And then the article continues to sorry. What happened? Sorry, the thing's not going away. There it is. Apologize about that. So then beginning here, it says, a freak right-wing media figure. Oh, wait! Do we have a retracto? Okay, we're going to have to go back to the National Archives. We got a retracto here. Was it? Okay, I might have a false alarm here. Huh. I'm so sorry. I'm like wasting your time here. It looks like I might have been wrong. Now, it's used to say, I thought it said far right. Okay, I do so humbly apologize, but I have to restart the video because I seem to remember they had called him far right, but I was mistaken. So I gotta correct my thing. Sorry to put you through this double thing here. Here in our next article from The Independent, who is Alex Stein, the troll who sexually harassed AOC? Says he's a troll. Ignore him. And he'll go away. Says a freak right-wing media figure who sexually harassed Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on video this week while she was walking to work. So who is this troll? So first off, he's not just some freak right-wing figure. He's actually a really, really, really funny guy. This is just immediately, it shows you that this media organization is just biased and like as if he's like just like some like weirdo fringe lunatic. So let's just watch it yourself and see what your take exactly is of it. Uh-oh. Sorry. Having some desktop audio issues. Shoot. It'll be just a second. Let me get the Dang it, man. The desktop audio source switched in OBS. Okay, well, I don't know what to say. Well, yeah, you know, I'm going to have to skip this article. I'm so sorry. It's, I have my stuff set up, but it's just not. I'm going to have to exit the program in order to get any sort of videos to play. And I want to start going into the thing about Ray Epps here, but I'm going to have to reset the program in order to get the video to work. So it's not going to be possible for me to do that. But I'm going to upload the video. I really apologize. I'm dealing with these kinds of nightmare issues on the regular. The studio is so complicated. Yep. You got to admit, I do make some of the funniest thumbnails you've ever seen. Seriously, I mean, they're pretty funny, man. If you're on my side, if you're not on my side, you hate me, right? Oh, what is going on there? Oh, you know what? Okay, I do so humbly apologize. It looks like the clip was muted in Firefox. So I'm going to restart it, and I do so humbly apologize. The video is actually working, but it's get out of here. All right. All right. I wanted to do this article because we're going into re-up, so it's worth putting up with. I have to chop up these videos because I can't edit all these videos, and then I got to do it right on the live stream, or else I can't get any programming done. And I'm making my own app so we could do a self-hosted RSS-based replacement for Facebook and a live streaming platform, because I have a vastly superior new live streaming software for like my show. You can see it's a very complicated show, and I have a solution I'm going to be rolling out here over the next year to automate this show. And I'm going to be providing you with some free OBS plugins and then a paid multi-streaming service, hopefully. We'll see. If you know any financial backers that want to back me. In this next article from The Independent, who is Alex Stein, the troll who sexually harassed AOC? He's a troll. Ignore him. He'll go away. Little Tucker will just go away. Just close your eyes. Baby Tucker will just be gone, you know. Says a freak right-wing media figure sexually harassed Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on video this week while she was walking to work. So who is this troll? He is Baby Tucker because he looks just like. All right, so all of you beta males should be taking note. If you want a girl to get a tingly sensation in her pussy, this is how you would go about getting the girl to really like you. Because unlike these beta males who are running these cuck media outlets like The Independent, the right-wingers actually act like men, and we do things that make women get tingly sensations in their pussies. But if you are a beta, and you hear that Trump said grab her by the pussy, you're going to get triggered, right? Only the problem is that Trump never really actually said grab her by the pussy. This people made this stuff up in their heads, and people do this stuff all the time, and you don't even notice it. No, Trump said they'll let you grab them by the pussy. He never said grab women by the pussy. No, what he meant was he's a billionaire, and women go up to him all the time wanting to have sex with them so they can have a baby with them. And they literally will let you grab them by the pussy. Like he was actually telling the truth when he said that. So, but this incident ended up triggering a very interesting situation where we had AOC went on a rant about how the cops let the protesters into the Capitol building on January 6th. Hey, look, I'm not suspended. Yeah, exactly. It would be really, really, really nice if they would treat the Antifa lunatics who've been trying to burn down our country in the middle of a pandemic like the terrorist threat they are, because they are a terrorist threat. I apologize. I had to go over there and make sure that we're following the safety rules just in case OSHA comes in. We're safe. We're for sure safe over here, I promise. Something about OSHA. We're reading a story about OSHA. Oh shit. Oh yeah, the well yeah, here Here we go. Let's look at this video here of the January 6th protest. Oops. Ooh, shoot. Sorry. So this is the video from the outside of the protesters being let in. So they had... Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Can we see the other footage? Do I have the... All right, so here, let me get out the, the clip that I have. Do they have another clip here? They didn't have the clip. And apparently I didn't load it. So let me grab the clip. January 6th. Is this it? Oops. Wrong desktop, huh? There it is. So here's the outside of what happened at that time. I'm going to skip ahead here a little bit. So here they're coming. So this was the group that was with Ray Epps at the beginning that charged the... Like, they can't... This is like a military maneuver. Let's just back up and watch that one again just to appreciate what you're seeing here. Maybe I could make me... Oops, apparently I was talking to nobody. So you could see in the video that they broke down the door or the window. And so they got in that way. So it wasn't just that the cops let them in, but they did get in other ways. So, but here we go with the one scene. The QAnon shaman is going to show up here in a little bit. Everybody's seen pictures of this guy. He looked so angry in the picture they showed. I mean, he doesn't look anywhere near as angry. Like, everybody thought this dude was like this angry terrorist-looking guy. Like, I mean, it doesn't seem like he's... That one picture, he looked really angry. And then, do we have the other one of the mag lock? Is this the mag lock? Is this the one where their cops are waving them in? West Terra, this is not it. let me get the I don't think I downloaded the video, and it's in the on the web browser. Let me grab the one video. I know I have it in the web browser. No, that's the January 6th. Okay, so we have the video. Okay, I got the YouTube video pulled up. All right, so here's the video from the inside. Apologize about that. Just get the put some video on it here. Got the video pulled up. I'm sorry, I didn't have this video downloaded. I try to keep everything on an offline connection. So you could see this was not the scene that we just watched at the doors where they busted in the window, because you could tell because the window next to it was not busted out. And the people are trying to bust the windows in. This is just so embarrassing, man. I paid a huge price for what these guys did. I definitely lost a lot of friends. People treated me like a far-right extremist. Well, whenever I joined Walk Away, they started treating me like a far-right extremist. Some crazy bitches, like they don't know what the red pill is. They certainly do hate the red pill. All right, so there you could see they got let in from the mag lock, from the inside. So it's not just a conspiracy theory. It actually happened. Then we got the, Ray Epps. Everybody's seen this video 1,000 times, right? Well, but remember, they didn't charge Mr. Ray Epps. No, Mr. Ray Epps, he's not a law enforcement agent. Remember? They never said that he wasn't working for the FBI, that he was a paid agent, that he's like an actual Fed. They just said he was not a law enforcement agent. I say we lock this Ray Epps guy up. He needs to face some charges for, like, this is the video from right before when the riot started, right when they're just about to tear that down. But no, they do not want to charge Mr. Ray Epps, because I believe it was a setup the entire time. I think the deep state are run by criminals. People think the deep state is like some crazy conspiracy theory. No, every state has a deep state. It's true. It's called a dual state. It's a concept in political science that you can look up. Here we can see the Bohemian Grove cult, them doing mock human sacrifice there to an owl god. It's pretty creepy, for sure. We covered that in our last article here, Wolf Warrior Diplomacy. Do we got anything else on this? Hey, stick around for some more stories But don't forget to smash that like button, the subscribe button, and ring the bell for notifications. Drop a comment and send it to your mom, because this is your mom's favorite show. All right, so what else we got? What else we got? Yeah, there's actually people in the chat today. I really do appreciate everybody who's watching. Trying to make it more as entertaining as I can. Brent from Some Hemp says, so what about the founding fathers? I think they were good people. I grew up in Virginia, and we used to take field trips to Monticello to visit Thomas Jefferson's home. We got to see where they kept the slaves, and they did not teach us that Thomas Jefferson was a bad, evil, racist white person. They taught us that he was a noble person, that he owned slaves, but he did not support slavery, that he just thought it was an institution of the time, and that he worked to make the world a free place because he is a Christian, and he believed that all men were created equal, and that eventually slavery as an institution would be gone. And he was not this bad person. Recently, sadly, they canceled Thomas Jefferson's birthday celebration in Charlottesville, Virginia, because the woke leftists said he owned slaves, so they got to cancel him. I'm really not happy about that. Yeah, but most people think that the slaves in America were all black. It's actually false. Actually, half the slaves in America were white, and the slaves that were treated the worst were the prisoners. They were oftentimes serving a sentence for murder. They put the slaves on, most slaves were on farms because people would die from famine if they didn't have food from the farms. So they would make prisoners work as slaves. And then they did the transatlantic slave trade, and then they brought in all the slaves. 96% of those slaves went to other places. Only 4% of the slaves went to the United States. And whenever the slaves started showing up, then the white people were like, hey, we don't want all these black people taking over. Like they were wanting the white people to be the majority. So they shut down the transatlantic slave trade in 1807. And then it wasn't until that time when the slaves were all black. Before then, the slaves weren't black. And then whenever the slaves were all black, then the white people still freed the slaves. So whatever they're telling you, this story is a bunch of BS that they're telling you. This critical race theory stuff it's nonsense. I mean, like, the black people owned slaves at a higher rate. First registered slave owner in the United States was a black person who owned 2 white slaves and 1 black one. You could look it up. It's actually true. It was in like Jamestown, I think. I've been to Jamestown too. Whenever you had, this is what clued me in, because I used to be a liberal. At one point in time, I had Trump derangement syndrome. I even helped start the 2016 Portland anti-Trump protest when I was a college student at Portland State University, and I thought Trump was a Russian asset. And it didn't really click. Whenever it clicked that, one, I don't support illegal immigration. After I dated this woman from Eastern Europe, and she said she didn't support illegal immigration because she was trying to get a green card for years, like a decade or something. And so she said the illegal immigrants were cutting in line. She wanted to immigrate her family up here. And so that was what changed my outlook on immigration, was I realized, wait a minute, immigrants don't support this. So like, what's up with that? And what was the point of me saying this? So then it clicked. I was like, wait a minute, I grew up in Virginia. These people are like making all this big deal about racism. And it's like, they started, taking down these statues of our founding fathers. And it was like, no, dude. No, our founding fathers were noble people. They weren't perfect people, but neither are the people today, especially Black Americans. Black Americans have a violence and a crime problem. They need to work harder to get better grades at school, and they need to do more homework and read more to their children. They need to invest more in education. But the founding forefathers are definitely not the ones that are responsible for the problems in the black community today. Those problems are absolutely just bad choices from hip hop culture, which everything I believe about hip hop culture is rotten. I love hip hop music. I used to play hip hop music, play trumpet, used to play in bands, live hip hop, funk, reggae. But I've been robbed a lot. Been robbed 3 times. All 3 times it's been a black guy by gunpoint. Almost got murdered once in a hostage situation with a gangbanger serial killer from Atlanta. And, you look at the founding forefathers and you're like, well, they were white supremacists, but at least they weren't a serial killing gangbanger trying to kill me with an AK-47. That's pretty terrorizing. I mean, I understand they did some bad stuff to the black people, but like the KKK killed like 3,000 people. And like, there's about almost 10,000 black Americans getting murdered each year. And like 92 or like 96% of them or something, I can't remember, don't quote me on the exact percent, are from black men. It's like, or sorry, like, almost all the murders are coming from like this small group of violent hip hop people. And, everybody wishes that those people were, instead of violent gangbangers and serial killers, like if they were white supremacists, I think the world would actually be a better place. All right. So what are we going to read next here? Here in our next article from Newsweek, GOP push for nationwide abortion ban 3 weeks after calling it a state issue. Interesting. So I guess if you don't know anything about the abortion argument, this might make sense. But if you know anything about the United States Constitution, you know that this isn't just a states' rights issue. This is actually multiple different issues with both states' rights and the interstate commerce clause being abused for things like the war on drugs, and them basically what they're doing is they're taking, we have common law, which means law based off of the precedents of how the court rules. And then you have statutory law, which is the actual law. So in the United States Constitution, it starts off with the words, Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of a religion, and then also or prohibiting the exercise thereof. So why does it not say in the beginning that you don't have a right, or that Congress shall make no law abridging the right of the people to or freedom of speech or to peacefully assemble? Well, the reason why is because the Church of England was controlling, and so they had basically a state religion. And so the First Amendment, the first words of the First Amendment of the United States Constitution is to ban a state religion. So after that, we get our right to peacefully assemble. So it says the state cannot abridge the right to peacefully assemble. So a fetus, by definition, is peacefully assembling in a mother's body. It's not an unnatural thing. It's not like somebody came into her body and then did something that was not natural, well, except for the case of rape. But the fetus has no other place to go. The fetus cannot go somewhere else. So the other part of the right to peacefully assemble is the right to petition the government. So you have a right to petition the government on the behalf of a child. For instance, let's say someone is abusing their child. You can petition the government if you have right to get third-party custody. You can petition the government to get custody over that child, right? So when you do that, what you got to do is you got to show with clear and convincing evidence that the parents are not acting in the children's best interest. If you can show that the parents are not acting in the children's best interest, then you can deprive them of custody legally using the 14th Amendment. But, you know, the state has to jump through these evidence hurdles, and the state has to use the minimum intervention needed to eliminate the detrimental circumstance. So underneath the Second Amendment, or sorry, the First Amendment of the Constitution, it actually gives you the right to the care, custody, and control of your children under the Supreme Court ruling called Troxville v. Granville, which requires that the state use clear and convincing evidence in order to deprive parents of custody. But here's the deal. There's no like age limit on this. It says the state can't abridge this right. So that means that the state can't reduce the times, places, and manners where you can peacefully assemble. If you have no other place to assemble and you are a United States citizen, you have the right to have someone petition the government on your behalf. Because the child cannot talk, because the child is not 18, the court then is required to use what is called doctrine of perspective. Doctrine of perspective is, for instance, let's say somebody had sexually molested a child. Now, that person, that child, after, let's say they're 10, when that child is 18, that child can sue for that tort that happened when they were 10, even though the statute of limitations has expired. Because of this, it means that a child can actually delay the judgment in a court trial until they're 18. And this is not a sketchy legal theory. This is actually rock solid. That's how the court system works. I've had a lot of experience with child custody in the court system, and the way it works is that you know, when you're trying to harm your child, the state can take custody of your child from you, right? And so it all depends on whether or not they're going to classify abortion as murder. Abortion, whether or not, well, sorry. So abortion, if it's like a day after pill, you don't really know whether or not that baby is actually alive or an actual baby. It's like a very small chance. Like there's a very small chance that it could have been murder, but you know, like I could cut off my finger and that's not like murdering myself because my finger just does not have a brain. So I personally think that it's more of a heart weak abortion ban issue, which is a states' rights issue. So this just goes to show you that, you know, the liberals are just, they're ignorant of things because they have this dogma that they don't really like look at stuff from the other side. Because I used to be a big time opponent, or sorry, abortion proponent. I was convinced that this was like women's rights. And looking back, it's like, no, this isn't women's rights. This is a child's right to life. This is a human being that's in there. So you got to say like, okay, when is it okay to have an abortion at? Like, is it okay at 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Can you have an abortion the day before the child is born? Me as a software and computer engineer, I'm going to look at the state transitions. So when there is a state machine and you are going from one state to another state, there is a transition that goes from that state to that state. So we have 3 major locations in a timeline, typically. We have the beginning, we have the end, and we have everything in the middle.
Okay? So the way that you really should be legally analyzing this is at what point in time does the mother have the right to end the life of the child? Is it the day before the birth? I think almost every single person would say that is absolutely murder. That's a disgusting thing to do, to murder a baby. That is a day out. Like, you could just cut the baby out of the womb. But I think in Colorado, you can actually do that, which is insane that you can actually do that. What else do I have to say about this? So, abortion definitely is not women's rights at all. But I do think that this made a lovely thumbnail. This is one of my favorite thumbnails for sure.
Oops. Sorry. Hey, we got some more articles coming up here in just a minute. But yeah, stick around here. What happened to my camera? Oh yeah, it's over there. Sorry. There's a lot of cameras in here. I think there's like, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 11, 12 cameras. So, wait, you know what? Actually, I have to declare this article no, shit. Shoot. Sorry. This one is definitely going to be considered fake news. Where'd it go? What do we got here? What do we got, baby? Yeah. Fake news. Woo! Fake news, baby. Fake news. All right. What we got going on? What's the next one? Next article. All right. Following up one hot button political issue with another one. So don't forget to smash that like button and stick around because we got more of this to go. I think I only got like a couple more articles actually. Because actually it's getting late at this point in time. I've been waking up. I'm trying to do the show in the morning. So there's 2 channels. There's Top RSS News. And that is links down below. And that one's supposed to be at like 6 to 8. And then this show is coming on in the morning. And it's because I have to get the news out on the East Coast. And so the only way I can get the news out on the East Coast is by doing that at night. And then this in the morning. And then I'm going to do shorter live streams during the day. In our next article from the Daily Mail, Ted Cruz says Supreme Court decision in legalizing gay marriage was clearly wrong. On his show Verdict with Ted Cruz, the Texas senator discussed the vulnerability of the Obergefell versus Hodges decision, saying it was clearly wrong. And if you didn't catch my debate with Hunter Avalone on his channel, I think it was the 29th of July, 2022, we got into a debate about gay marriage, and I handed his ass to him because he doesn't know how the law works. And so this gay marriage thing is going to be overturned here pretty soon. This is a lot like the abortion thing, where they're implying that you have a right to privacy from your right to be free from illegal searches and seizures. But this is really just, no, it's clearly wrong. So what they're saying is not that the state has to recognize a marriage between two people of the same sex, but they have to recognize a common law marriage from another state. This is a fascinating subject. Okay, so I wrote an article on the Freedom Government page on Facebook, facebook.com/Freedom Government, and about the Ninth Amendment. So where are they getting this right to marriage from? They're getting it from the Ninth Amendment. The Ninth Amendment is an obscure amendment that says basically all your pre-existing rights that you had before the Constitution, you still have all of those. It says those rights are reserved to the people, not to the states. And what this means is you have a right to a common law marriage. It also gives you like rights to like writs in courts, like a writ of certiorari when you try to appeal a conviction. So this is the basis of the Obergefell versus Hodges decision. So you got to look up what a common law marriage is. Common law marriage is a marriage that has existed since the dawn of time, which is why it's called the common law marriage, because it existed since the dawn of common law. There's always been common law marriages, which have always been between a husband and a wife, and they came from Christian countries where you were not allowed to have premarital sex. So you would need to get married in order to say, we're going to have a family together. And then when you do that, the income from the husband is going to be shared with the spouse, because back then the wife would be a stay-at-home mom and she would need the income from the husband. And so they were a legal organization that were two or more people. It would be the husband, the wife, and then the children. And so you were not supposed to have children out of wedlock because it's harmful to your children. So the institution of marriage was intended for the man and the woman to have a child, raise that child in this structure, and then the man would get tax benefits by allowing the man to share income with his wife. And then you have one household that you're giving a lower tax rate to, because there's two people and they are operating as one unit. And then there's a third, the children who are involved, they're all one organization. So why I think this Obergefell versus Hodges ruling is absolutely wrong is because they're forcing states to recognize an illegal common law marriage. Because a common law marriage absolutely was not a same-sex marriage, not at all. But we have a problem. You have to give them equal protection under the law. It doesn't say you have to give them equal treatment. It doesn't say you have to give them the same tax breaks. It says you have to give them equal protection under the law. So there's one protection that you can get from being married would be that they can let you into the hospital to be with your spouse when they're injured. Now, you can't really say that the gay people are having an injury when they're not getting a tax break, because they do not, they don't have children. So like the debate that I had with Hunter Avallone on his live stream the other day, we were talking about anti-miscegenation laws. Was it okay or not for the state to pass the law? And the answer is that the state is sovereign. And the state, when they pass a law, they have free speech. So they're a sovereign entity that can speak. What they did was they wrote the law down, and then other people in the government implemented that law. And so it wasn't the legislature that abused your rights. They just wrote something down on a piece of paper. Like, it's totally okay for them to do that. They can write an illegal law because it's not enforceable. If the law is not enforceable, it's like I live in Oregon, and it used to be illegal to be black in Oregon for more than a day up until like I was in college in like the early 2000s. And it was like everybody was shocked that this law was still in the Constitution, because it's like, wow, it's illegal to be black in Oregon? And it's like nobody's racist here. It's like the least racist place. Like, it's totally like I mean, I've experienced like maybe one or two racist people. I do know one racist guy, older dude. He's pretty harmless, whatever. But it's like really like, I mean, it's like mostly white people that live around here, but it's absolutely not racist. But with the anti-miscegenation law, you know, you can go into court and you can be like, well, marriage protects children, right? You're like trying to deny us a marriage permit because we're like an interracial couple. But the problem is here with the gay marriages is like you can't really make the same argument with anti-miscegenation that you can with denying a gay couple a common law marriage right, because the gay people don't have children. Now, I can understand if they want to adopt a child, then, you know, maybe that might change the situation if they're actually functioning as the same unit. But it's not a common law marriage, though. And that's the problem fundamentally with the gay marriage argument, and why this Obergefell versus Hodges ruling is highly likely to be overturned. And I think Hunter Avalon looked it up. I haven't looked up the exact thing of what's going on in the Supreme Court, but what was it? Justice Thomas was... I've been reading up on Justice Thomas's decisions, and man, that guy is great, dude. Throughout the years, I like looking back. Let's see, what did I do? I was looking up the Interstate Commerce Clause on the Cato Institute website, CATO, and the Interstate Commerce Clause. They have a nice write-up, and they go into a lot of stuff that Justice Thomas did, and he's been on the right side. I think Justice Thomas has been spot on. He's the one that's been, or according to Hunter Avalon, when he was reading it on his live stream, he was the one that's looking at re-examining the case. So I haven't looked too far into that, but I do believe that if they re-examine this case, you would see that, in fact, that you don't have a right to a same-sex common law marriage, because same-sex common law marriages don't exist. Now, today, most states have actually done away with common law marriages, which I don't think is actually illegal because it existed since the dawn of humanity. So how do you ban something that's existed since the dawn of humanity, that every government since the dawn of humanity has recognized this? When a man and a woman lives together and they have children, that they're married, every government since the dawn of time has recognized this. But almost no government since the dawn of time has recognized a same-sex marriage. So I think that this Obergefell versus Hodges decision will go against the LGBT narrative, but I don't think it's the end, because this really is like an issue of whether or not you're getting the state to recognize that you're married. It's not like they're abridging your rights of free association. Maybe they are with the hospital thing. If you can't go visit your gay partner in the hospital, that might actually be a denial of equal protections under the law. But you cannot argue that these gay people require a tax break that you would give to people who have children, because people who have children have to pay upwards north and over $1 million to raise the child, and the gay person, when they are raised, are the beneficiary of this money. So if they're not having, if they're not actually having, what do you call it? If they're not actually having the marriage to have children, you know, you can't say it's not a reasonable restriction to restrict who the state is recognizing as being married and recognizing who can file jointly on a federal income tax. And that's really is the essence of this, especially in the Texas case, because if you read the Texas laws, it says that a common law marriage is in between a husband and a wife, that they formally agreed to be married, and that they cohabitated together. Those are the three essences of a common law marriage. But you can't force a state to recognize an illegal law from another state. They're trying to use the clause in the Constitution that says that, or the Privileges and Immunities Clause, it says everybody gets access to the same privileges and immunities in the other states. And that doesn't, you don't have a privilege to force a state to recognize an illegal law from another state. No, not at all. No, a state is sovereign. They can recognize who they want to be married as long as it's a reasonable restriction. Now, an anti-miscegenation law, of course, that's not a reasonable restriction. I wish I would have been a little bit more prepared with Hunter Avalon, because he caught me off guard. But my argument is rock solid. It's based in legal theory that is rock solid, and it's kind of hard to argue with it. But you know, most people, they go off of cognitive dissonance. They go off of facts or feelings, not facts. Sadly. What do we got going here? Hey, don't forget to smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Do we have more articles? Might be the end of the show. I think I gotta go to bed. But yeah, I'm gonna end the show. Okay.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to RSS commentary on what is now the Sunday the 31st. I started putting this show together on the 17th, and it was technical nightmare to do all the stuff, and apparently it's been 2 weeks. So I worked really hard for that show. I think it went okay. The cameras are still glitching. I'm having issues with the studio. But hey, as I say every time, thank you, farewell, sayonara, aloha, au revoir, peace be with you, Godspeed in your journey, and let the salt flow, baby.